Should you have a Jeep Wrangler, a Porsche Cayenne, or a Bronco for your off-road vehicle? I say it's the Cayenne. I'm Justin, this is Husman Bros, and let's talk about why you should build an overland Cayenne. So most of the time when people are thinking about building an overland vehicle, it's a Jeep Wrangler. And Jeep Wranglers are very capable vehicles. Obviously, they wouldn't build them. Now, they are more and more expensive these days, and that's enough to turn some people off. There's also the Toyota 4Runner, which is a very, very popular overland off-road vehicle, and they continue to stay expensive even in their old age. You might be able to pick up a cheap Jeep, but you'll never find a cheap 4Runner. And then Broncos, if they're old, they're expensive, and if they're new, they're expensive as well. That's why I think the Porsche is one of the best choices that you can do right now to build an incredible off-road vehicle. Here's why. Porsche comes in a couple different trim levels. You have the base V6, you have the S V8, and then you have the turbos. There are the Turbo S's as well in the later generations, but in the first generations, those are harder to find. The first generation, in my opinion, is really where it's at. Those can be gotten super cheap nowadays for an S, which is a big old Porsche V8, or the Turbo, which is a V8 plus turbos. There are more and more parts available for these cars every day, it seems. When we started building these with our Cayenne S, it was not easy to find Porsche-specific parts. But now with Eurowise, they supply so many parts, and this is not a Eurowise commercial. It just seems that they have the best options out there. I was looking before we made this video, and a lift for an air suspension is under $1,000. For a steel suspension, it's a little bit less than that. I gotta say though, if you're gonna build one of these cars, I would stick with the air suspension. It's a lot more capable. It is a little more expensive if it breaks, but so far mine has been very robust, and it rides so much better than the standard steel suspension on the Cayenne S that we have as well. Now, we've actually built a couple of these Cayennes in the first generation, the 955. So we have the S that we built first, and it's a steel suspension, pretty stripped down Cayenne. It is the big V8 though. And then we have the Turbo S that you guys watched us build. Or if you haven't, go watch those videos. We'll link to some of those down below. I would stick in that S to turbo range. The V6, I tend to hear that they're underpowered just in general. And I think that when you get off-road, you want more power than that 6 is gonna give you. People say the Porsches aren't reliable. It's not my experience. Our Cayenne S, I have driven it many, many, many miles, and I've broken it a couple times. Again, watch the videos, we'll link them down below. And it has been just a great, great truck for us. The Turbo S, I'm still fairly new to driving it every day, but it is amazing. It is an incredible vehicle, and now that we've got it dialed in and corrected, it is just phenomenal. I've not had any issues with it. If you're buying one of these older vehicles, you're probably going to have some maintenance to catch up on, but that's why they're so inexpensive. At the time we're making this video, you can pick up a pretty reasonable Cayenne S for $7,000 or $8,000. You can pick up a turbo for somewhere between 10 and 15, depending on how the maintenance has been maintained on it. A couple $1,000s to convert it. Go to Eurowise for your bull bars, your bumpers, your racks, and all that good stuff. And man, you've got something that people will absolutely love, and you'll enjoy it too. I can tell you that with my S, I have people come up to me and tell me how cool they think it is with the Turbo S. It is big, it is loud, and it is different, and it draws attention. If that's what you're into, that's what they're great for. Now, we haven't done much off-roading with the Turbo S. I mostly drive it around town. We did take it out to Colorado with us, and we hit some dirt roads, also in another video that we put, and it was really capable. I'll tell you, I was moving pretty quick over those dirt roads, and the air suspension was doing a fantastic job of keeping the truck pretty level. I will say though, that with the Turbo and the Turbo S especially, it is a great deal of fun to have this big truck that's covered in armor with big wheels and meaty tires on it. And when you see a couple Dodges racing down the tollway to just pass them like they're standing still, that's when it's worth it. So should you do one of these? It's a bit of a challenge to build these, not because it's hard to do, but because there's not much documentation about how to do it. So should you build one? I think you should go out and spend $8,000 right now and get yourself an S, or maybe even a Turbo if it's got a lot of miles on it, and get started, because it is absolutely worth it. And such a value for these vehicles. It's really, really an incredible drivetrain. There are lots of options too on these. You know, when you get into the air suspension, you can raise and lower it with the flip of a switch, and with the lift, you've got even more ground clearance than anyone else does. I've also taken this camping once. I'm not much of an overlander. I work hard so I can have a house, but I do like to take photographs. And I went out to the country and I parked on the edge of a river and I slept in the back. There was plenty of room for me in the back. I had everything I needed, and it was just a great overnight camping vehicle, little air mattress and stuff. And after I did that, I started looking, and now there are companies that actually offer drawers for the back and other things. You can put an awning on it and all these other things that are available to make it a fairly good overland vehicle. And I tell you, it was no problem getting out there, and getting out of the world, we'll say, was pretty easy with this car. The only drawback that I see for the Turbo S especially is my gas mileage. It is not good. I get about 10 miles to the gallon around the city in it. The S gets a little better mileage. So if that's a concern for you, make sure that you're buying the right vehicle. The Turbo S has to have premium. The regular S also has to have premium, but you get a little bit more bang for your buck miles-wise out of the S. The turbos are thirsty. These trucks haven't been really popular as off-roaders until fairly recently. They're expensive cars to start with, and as they've gone down that depreciation road, they've gotten a little bit more economical to acquire. As such, there's really not been a lot of support until the past couple years, really, where people are coming out with various accessories for these things. There's a couple different hitch mount carriers. Again, our friends at Eurowise have a great hitch mount carrier that I wish they would send me, hint, hint, to have me make a video about. But there are lots more things available than when we started doing this. I actually, on the first Cayenne S, I had a local friend who makes roll cages make that bull bar for me. But for the second one, I was able to buy a whole kit from Eurowise, which is frankly better built than what I had. And really, it's easy to set these vehicles up for this. Now, here's the one thing, you know, people are going to be in the comments saying, oh, Porsche no good, Porsche no good. But I'll say this, these are not built for rock crawling. Really, these are great overland vehicles. They're great dirt road vehicles, and you can get into some hairy stuff. I mean, in the manual of both of them, it shows me what the water crossing level is. You know, you just got to lift it up to the right level, and you can drive pretty deep into water. So these trucks can take you where you need to go, as long as it's not crawling through some crazy mountain or whatever. I mean, maybe you can do one of those light bright style Moab things, but I don't know. I'm not going to take it out there. This is not a truck that I want to wrinkle up. It's not a Jeep where I can go buy a fender for a couple $100. So one more drawback to these is they are very technological vehicles. So they're going to be expensive to repair if you can't do it yourself. And there's a very good chance that if you're out there in the middle of nowhere, one of your systems could go wrong. They are not simple vehicles. If you maintain it well and you take care of your vehicle, you're going to have less likely of a chance. But at the same time, these are not something that the guy in the 4Runner is going to have the tool to fix necessarily. They are Porsches. So if you're going to buy one of these, I would suggest that you be the person who knows what they're doing when it comes to building cars like this, when it comes to maintaining cars like this. Because if you're out there in the middle of nowhere, it is very expensive to get a tow. Ask me how I know. So should you build an off-road Cayenne? Well, that's certainly up to you. If you're watching this video, you're thinking about it, and I'm going to say real quickly, absolutely you should, because they are a ton of fun, they're loud, they look cool, and really, I get as much attention in my Cayenne Turbo S as I do in my hot rods or my 911s. It's just, people love these cars. So should you build one? I say yes, but I do think that you should really look at it with a budget mind. If you were looking for some $500 car to start on, I don't think so. If you find a really maintained cream puff that grandma drove to the mall and things like that, I think that's an incredible start for just an amazing off-road overland vehicle that you can enjoy for many years to come, or until they take away our ability to buy gas. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Stay tuned. We're going to also talk about what it takes to build a hot rod and how much that costs. So follow the channel for that next video.